Good evening and welcome to this edition of the Primetime Newscast in the English language on Canal International. We'll begin with our top stories. Teachers across the country are bracing up to commemorate World Teachers Day tomorrow, October 5. Celebrating at the moment, some state-employed teachers are still demanding the government to fully address their plight. But how far has the government gone in resolving the problem posed by these pedagogues? And forces of law and order have apprehended 3 men in possession of 1,000 tablets of opium pain medication TRAMADOL. The 1 million franc CFA consignment was destined to the black market. Those are major stories. Details are right ahead. Good evening once more. Tomorrow, October 5, 2023, will be commemorated as World Teachers Day. In Cameroon, teachers are bracing up for the feast, but maintain it's a day of reflection and not a day of celebration per se, taking to the present context of tensions, boycott of classes, and revendications of their problems. More in the following story. In a context characterized by tension, boycott of classes, revendication of their rights, a majority of teachers in Cameroon believe the values of those who have trained people of all walks of life have been trodden and their personality put to shame by society and most especially government.
We talk about the context of tension and, there's a revendication, there have always been tensions, but it's moving it's undulating.
Describing October 5 as a day of reflection and not celebration, the problems of teachers range from congested classrooms, insecurity for those in areas like the Northwest, Southwest, and the Far North regions.
The major problem lies in the recognition, the impression or the recognition society has on the teaching field or teachers. The kind of the image the society has towards a teacher, towards the teaching, towards school as a whole. That's the major problem. Every other thing is subsidiary. But the major problem is society's outlook towards the teacher.
Though they acknowledge strikes by the government, teachers maintain government needs to do more to upgrade the status of Cameroonian teachers.
So what government is doing is kind of trying to settle issues that they didn't settle at a point in time. For example, we talk about salary problems of teachers. The current strike is on dues, on debts that they owe teachers. So it's not like they are doing any favor or anything positive towards the teaching, towards teachers. It's just that. That's why I say it is the whole outlook of the whole society, whether it's the government or whatever. So in the real sense of it, we are still expecting much more to be done.
October 5 is here, but the working conditions of teachers remains disturbing.
The training, government should do the training. But how many teachers are trained these days? The demand is very high. We need to train our children. The population is growing on a daily basis, but the growth rate as far as the training of teachers is concerned doesn't tie.
Lack of the implementation of the special status of teachers in Cameroon as decreed in the year 2000 is a major problem for teachers in the public education sector in the country. Trade unionists have decried the situation as bad faith on the part of the administration, which could have prevented teacher strike if it was respected. Gladys Abodiba completes that story. It is an old practice to find young trained teachers attain positions of responsibility without the recommended years of longevity of service in Cameroon, a practice that violates the articles of the special status for teachers signed 2 decades ago by the head of state. Trade unionists express worries over such actions, which contribute to teachers' plight.
Le respect déjà.
And these response to are verified competence, but we have observed that this is not the case in Cameroon today.
Jusqu'au moment où nous parlons, ça n'a pas été le cas.
Decree number 2000/359 relating to the special status of teachers signed on December 5, 2000 spells out the recruitment, remuneration and advancement for teachers in the public sector, but this is far from being respected. Trade unionists blame the administration, describing it as bad faith.
Notre système voudrait beaucoup évoluer.
Our system wants to evolve with corruption, that is putting aside all the laws and texts, and this gives the free will for the administration to do whatever it wants. The real problem of teachers is their salary arrears. If the government had paid in their money, the situation would not have reached this stage where some teachers of the public service sector boycott lessons.
On aurait pu l'éviter si l'État avait procédé à régler les choses à temps comme cela se doit.
And as teachers prepare to celebrate World Teachers' Day on October 5, it is still unclear if some teachers will take part in the celebrations under such conditions. And as you heard in that report, teachers are brazen up to celebrate their day come September 5, that is tomorrow, Thursday, celebrating at a moment some state-employed teachers are still demanding the government to fully address their plight. But how far has the government gone in resolving the problem of posed by the pedagogues? Hi Sencha has been talking with some of them. His story.
The list of demands of the disgruntled teachers presented to the state in 2022 was quite long. The pedagogues requested the payment of complete salaries for those who were receiving just 2/3, the payment of different allowances owed them, automatic advancements, the treatment of pending files, among many. And over a year after, the government underlines that much has been done to address the issues. In the Ministry of Secondary Education, for example, Minister Nalova Lyonga outlines the major actions taken this far.
21,102 personnel who were on 2/3 of their salaries had their salaries completed. The scheduled payment of arrears has been executed completely at 100%. Nobody could believe that the state of Cameroon would correct its errors and do the right as teachers wanted it. In addition to this 21,000 personnel, 9,925 housing allowances were paid automatically. 169,463 advancement decisions for over 79,441 teachers have been validated, and the scheduled payment has been published for the first phase from 25th August 2023. And then more than 3,701 files of family allowance have been paid.
And just like her, the Minister of Basic Education, Laurent Serge Etundingwa, says there are no pending documents in his ministry except for those with irregularities. A claim highly supported by the Minister of Public Service and Administrative Reforms, Joseph Lay, who insists that the treatment of files have been digitalized and the waiting time drastically reduced.
La nouvelle procédure de traitement des dossiers d'intégration permet en 90 jours et même moins de 90 jours pour intégrer un jeune lauréat. Voici les décrets d'intégration. Des jeunes gens qui ont été intégrés au bout d'1 mois et 17 jours.
As to whether the accumulated arrears have been paid to the teachers as ordered by the head of state, Finance Minister Louis-Paul Mutaze affirms.
What the President has asked us to do, we did, we have done.
As the teachers commemorate the
I can assure you that the government will spare no effort to implement the decisions taken by the head of state in order to improve the living and working conditions of teachers. I therefore appeal to the education family, be it basic or secondary education, to stand by the government so that together we can promote this noble cause so dear to us, that of the education and training of our youth.
And among the requests still highly expected by the pedagogues for the government to address is what the OTS movement describe as a special status for teachers.
And in an inspiring display of determination and resilience, a student teacher with visual impairment is defying all odds and pursuing her passion for education despite losing her sight at her young age due to meningitis. She has overcome numerous challenges to become an inspiration for her students and testimony to the power of perseverance. More on the story with our student journalist, Kizi Kiga.
Student teacher Fadimatu Pefura is breaking barriers and inspiring others with her dedication to education. What is remarkable about her journey is that she accomplished all of these despite losing her sight at the age of 11 from infantile meningitis.
C'est dû à une maladie.
I was not born with it. It is due to an illness, meningitis. I had it when I was 11. It started with pains in my eyes and we went for an operation. One side was operated and it later transferred to the other. Fighting and determined, Fadimatu is not going to give up. Fadimatu has always dreamt of becoming a teacher. The passion pushed her to enroll in the Teachers Training College. Tous engaged because I have always loved teaching so that I can also make a living out of it in future. Beala Micheline is Fadimatu's teacher. The first problem is to always identify the handicapped. Concerning her, we get a place in a classroom suitable for her, and we also sensitize her classmates to adopt an inclusive attitude with her. We are facing difficulties with the writing materials in this institution, and it is very expensive and not easy for her parents too. And thus, we plead on individuals with a kind heart to help out with these materials. The story of Fadimatu Pefura serves as an inspiration not only to her but to all.
And the forces of law and order have apprehended 3 men in possession of 1,000 tablets of option pain medication TRAMADOL. The 1 million CFA francs consignment was destined to the black market. The drug was seized by a special squad of the police department in Douala. Salah Sharifa completes that story.
There are reports that 3 suspects have been smuggling TRAMADOL in schools and detention centers.
We found out they were in possession of more than 500 tablets of TRAMADOL, as you can see from the presentation. I want to call on the vigilance of parents. Parents. Parents.
Father Felix Kafru can no longer officiate as priest in the Boya Diocese. Bishop Bibi holds that the two clergymen have refused returning to Cameroon at the end of their mission in the United States of America. More on the story with our reporter Ines Ondombala.
The faculties of two priests, namely Father Henry Amindo and Father Felix Nkafro, were suspended in a letter issued by the Bishop of the Boya Diocese, His Lordship Michael Bibi. The two priests who have come to the end of their mission in the United States of America have refused to return to Cameroon, deserting their post of office at the Diocese of Boya.
Do you promise respect and obedience to me and my successors?
I do.
May God who has begun the good work in you bring it to fulfillment.
A controversial situation within the religious authority. The suspension of the two members of clergy comes after several reminders sent to them, all to no avail. This has come to expose challenges faced by the priests in a globalized world where religious rulers take advantage of their international mobility to access the world instead of contributing in building the church.
And Cameroon's national team head coach Rigobert Song has presented this day a 24-man list of indomitable lions called off for friendly encounters against Russia on Thursday, October 12, and later against the Teranga Lions of Senegal on Monday, October 16, 2023. Both friendly encounters are aimed at getting set for the 2026 FIFA World Cup qualification games. They will face Maurice on November 13, 2023, and later on meet with Libya on November 20, 2023. It should be noted that the list will find a young Jerome Ngong Bikeli, who was absent in their former official outing against Burundi last month, and a new B. Frank Magri, who comes in his trade in French League club Toulouse FC. And it is with that a sports note that will come to the end of this edition of the Primetime Newscast in the English language on Canal International. Thanks so much for watching. But coming up next is The Brief with Lil Piejou. As for me, I'll be back same time tomorrow. Good night.